I think this is a good opportunity in the course to take another short break and talk about another really important factor that doesn't get talked a lot about with regards to our saxophone equipment and setup, and that is resistance. There is a real tendency to label everything out there gear-wise as free blowing. And this is fine, this is okay, this happens. But I think it's also important to remember that in order to have clarity and to have control over our sound, when it pertains to our gear, there has to be a certain level of resistance in our setup. Now, there's bad resistance and there's good resistance. And the good resistance I like to call cooperative resistance. Now, it'd be a very natural inclination to be asking, why would you want your setup to be more resistant? And it's all about control. If your setup is way too efficient, way too easy to play, way too quick of a response, you're going to have a very hard time controlling your sound. It's going to be very difficult to get homogeny, evenness across all the registers. The ability to keep your intonation in check in the extreme registers. Because as we know, the saxophone is a very imperfect instrument. We have to do a lot of work here to keep things stable and in tune. And it's cooperative resistance that helps that happen. Some examples of cooperative resistance that you might introduce into your setup might be going up a half strength in reeds. That's instantly going to give you more to work with in terms of, again, your volume and control. So just keep in mind, as you are experimenting, as you are learning about what works for you, that resistance is not something to necessarily shy away from. Now, on the other side, there is negative resistance. If your horn is leaking, if the neck doesn't fit properly, if your mouthpiece has table issues or an uneven facing or your reed is warped, that is resistance that you do not want in your setup. And more importantly, when you have those kind of issues, and of course we're going to talk about how to assess all of the things I just talked about, it's going to throw off your ability to make objective decisions about your gear. So I always recommend that you got to diagnose everything first. Make sure that your horn is properly set up, sealing, has the correct back tension on keys, has the correct key heights, your neck fits well, your mouthpiece is true, and your reeds are unwarped, to name the very least, before you start getting into trying to change things. Because if you're doing that, it's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. You have to know that all of the negative resistance is gone before you can start introducing different areas of positive resistance and efficiency and inefficiency into your setup.